Welcome to today's GreenTree Realty podcast. Today, I'd like to say we're featuring, but we're going to be talking to Collin Jennings and Joe Ruzzi, who some of you already know is one of our senior brokers. Uh, Collin, Joe, I'll let you talk to how we found Collin and brought him in.
So Colin's been a friend of the family for a long, long time. I've known his parents for a long time, and he expressed some interest to me about going into real estate when I would see him at like birthday parties or events, and he, was asking me all these questions, and I'd always see him. And you hear that from people who are kind of like, out of college and trying to figure out a career path and which way they want to go. So I would try to give him the best advice I could. Not thinking, this would ever happen. Like I thought at one point, I would help him get to the best place he could to do the best job he could. But like, I think after the third time, I think it was your mom's birthday party we were at, it dawned on me. I'm like, we could take him here. I can teach him and kind of show him how to go. And, I put that thought out there, and then he was like, oh yeah, we could do that. And I'm sure you had plenty of talks at home, but it just snowballed from there. So he reached out and said, hey, because I think I encouraged you to talk to a couple of different firms and then come to, not like totally innocently. I was like, if you want to sit with me and like practice to what to say when you go on these interviews, let's do that. I don't think it ever went past that. We sat down, we talked, and he showed interest in coming here, and then it just kind of took off from there. So.
Yeah, I didn't interview with anybody else. It was just the one interview, and then I was like, all right, yep, we're good.
Nice.
So it was really easy. And from there, we did weekly classes where we sat down and we talked about all the different aspects. I walked him through what a listing looks like and what you have to do from start to finish. I walked him through what you have to do for a buyer, how you get them qualified, all the different aspects of it. We made notes and sheets, and we spent some quality time there. And what do you like on your fourth, fifth? I mean,
fourth now, yeah.
Yeah.
So fourth. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's working.
And how long have you been with us?
Well, technically a year, but I really didn't start like marketing because we did those weekly classes for about 2 months. So I wouldn't say technically a year because I think
6 to 8 months, maybe
6 to 8 months probably since I've been in the field. So
and I don't know if you realize this, Collin. Most people, I'll be quite honest. Most realtors, real estate agents, don't do 4 years in their life, 4 deals in their lifetime.
yeah, I did see a study that
Yeah,
after the first year, I think it's 80% of them quit.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
So
absolutely true.
so doing 4 deals in a year and really in a shorter period of time speaks volumes. I mean, it's a really good job.
Yeah, it would. Joe had told me during those weekly classes that you want to set a goal for 5.
Yeah.
For the year,
and and you're going to surpass that. You're going to blow past that. But one of the good things we worked on 2 of them together. One of the good things that we did was I made Collin do everything. And I wanted Collin to talk to the other agent. I wanted Collin to, when he had questions, I said, look, whatever happens, if you have a question, don't be afraid to say, I don't know, and I'll get back to you. And then also, before you go ahead and answer, make sure you know what you're talking about. And if you don't, I'm on phone 24 hours a day. Call me, text me. What does this mean? What does this mean? And he did that. Like he blew me up, and he was like, what do I do here? What do I? And I think that's the necessary things you have to do to get like your legs underneath you to kind of hit the ground running when it comes to real estate.
And that's kind of like what Bob said. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to call somebody and ask, just because that's how Joe told me that, that's how you're supposed to do things.
And it's funny, and I love that, by the way.
Yeah.
What do I do with you? I turn you loose.
Oh,
Go out there and do it. And if
Yeah.
you have questions, let me know. And that doesn't work with everybody, but with you, it's become a success story. You just don't take no for an answer. You go out there and make it happen. And, for trainers, for mentors, we couldn't ask
great.
for a better
That is great.
person to work with. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we want. So
Yeah. There's zero fear. Like there are some people that come into this industry and like it takes, I don't care who you are, it takes anybody. It's going to take you a couple of months to figure out contractually what you need to do, because I don't really kind of train you in the classes for marketing yourself or understanding the contract or negotiations or any of that stuff. They teach you about how to get the license. Once you get the license, you got to put the work in to figure out, how am I going to apply it? And, he took the time. But once he got it, there is zero fear. Like, there are agents that come in here, and not here, but I've been around them, where they're afraid to engage because they're afraid they're going to make a mistake and it's going to cost their client money. That tells me, when you're around that type of person, they don't have the support they need. They weren't willing to reach out. Somewhere there was a miss between what we were teaching and what they actually were absorbing. So that was never the case. Like, Collin jumped in head first and was like, I got this, we're going to figure it out. And there was like there was never a thought where, this wasn't going to work out. But you were so gung-ho about going into it. You were like, I'm going to make this work, because I've put my mind to it and this is what it's going to be.
Right. And going back to what you were saying, learning the entire process is more of like a hands-on, I forgot the word for it, but there's a word for it, but a hands-on learner. That's kind of how I've always been. So
kind of like an on-the-job trainer.
Yeah. So it's like, you can do all the classes and study as hard as you want, but it's like totally different once you actually get your license and you're doing real estate. It's totally different. So actually, like, going under Joe's wing and kind of just like seeing how everything's done, and him like, letting me be hands-on really helped a lot, I feel like.
Well, I'll tell you what, I learned from you too. So I had to create, that class, and like, I knew you were going to text me on Friday talking about Monday's class. So I had to have something prepared to what we were going to work on, because we could work on the buyer contract and the process, and I had that down, and we could work on the listing, and I had that down. But then, you start talking about the loan officers, and then it becomes a different thing with, loan officers and title companies and insurance companies. You have to have those contacts and what to say there, and kind of, so we went out to lunch with Brad a couple of times, and I introduced it to him, and then Brad offered to have his marketing department come up and talk to us. So we kind of put together a little thing there, and we would meet up at her office. So as much as it was good for you, it was good for me that you were that excited about doing it, because it helped me grow. And, real estate is one of those things that it's changing. Like, 20 years, 25 years I've been in this thing. You're learning something new, like, all the time. You just have to be open to, learn it and absorb it.
One quick story I'd like to tell or share is shortly after you started, or first, let me say that you both know that you hear the word family come out of my mouth a whole lot, and it doesn't take long to realize that I mean it. When you become a part of this family, you are.
Stay out of jail.
I don't always know when that truly happens, but with you, there was a pivotal moment, a social media moment.
Oh God.
Where I took so much pride in something, and something happened on social media, and the Bob came out.
Uh-oh.
And if you can share a little bit of that, I would love it, because it's a cool story.
So this was right after, gosh, this was when Joe kind of, threw me that bone for Bellhaven and, let me be the listing agent. And we, I live in North Carolina, so we have all those Moyoc Facebook groups and stuff, you know. So I decided to just throw the listing in there, just be like, hey, if anybody knows anybody in Virginia looking for a house, I got one for sale. And boy, oh my God, I think, Joe, I swear to gosh, that post probably had 150 comments under it. It was insane. People defending me, people like being mad. What? This is a Moyoc group. This isn't Virginia Beach. Blah blah blah. Blah. I was like, what in the world is happening?
He was attacked,
dude. Really? It was crazy.
Oh, man.
The way people like got so mad over it. It's just like you could just keep scrolling and you'll never see the post again. I don't know, but it was crazy. But then Bob kind of jumped in, and I sent a picture to Bob. I was like, go look in this Moyoc Facebook group. Please look at how mad people are. Yeah. And I thought, at first, I was like, why is everybody so mad? And then I was after like the 40th hate comment, I was like, whatever, y'all are just annoying. I was like, if y'all are that mad over it, it's not my problem. But then Bob jumped in and started defending me, and Bob was writing paragraphs on on the comments.
He's good like that.
Well, okay, you have somebody young in that community,
right?
Okay, that is thriving, and I believe that's what communities like, is for our people, especially our next generation, to be successful. And I reminded everybody that his success brings attention to that community, and as long as he lives there, that's where his money goes. And I just kind of I took it personal for him, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but that whole conversation just kind of died on the vine after that. People just kind of mellowed out, there were more people jumping into his defense, I believe.
But it was funny because once I did it, like 4 other agents did it too, of houses in Virginia, and like nobody had an issue with it.
Nobody.
So it was like I kind of paved the way for everybody else.
He's a trendsetter.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But so it was that point I said, okay, he in my heart, he's in.
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of us. I think you have to have kind of a thick skin when it comes to this internet stuff and posting and everything. You go in with the best intentions, and there's always 33% of the people you're going to upset, 33% of the people are not going to respond, and 33% of the people are going to be happy with what you put there. But it's a learning experience in the beginning to
absolutely
to be on the receiving end of that.
I learned. I will not put another Virginia listing in there.
Don't let us slow you down.
Buddy,
don't let us slow you down. You've already paved the way, man. Go ahead.
But all this leads us to a good time, to ask about you. Where did you come from? Tell us your story and how you became to be a real estate agent.
So I've grown up in Currituck basically all my life, so just right across the border. But yeah, no, I went to college. I played football there, and during COVID, it kind of, brought some hard times on a lot of people, and including myself. But there were some decisions that had to be made, and one of them was leaving the program. But it opened up a new door for me, and I figured out about real estate and started looking into it, and now we're here. So it's kind of like a blessing in disguise, pretty much. When one door closes, another one opens. That's the way I kind of look at things.
Absolutely.
But
it's worked out well for you. I mean, it really has. Like, I know anybody that goes into real estate their first year, it's hard. It's not a job that you can just show up to and kind of just punch the clock and start working. Like, there's a lot of things you have to know before you can actually get to a place where you feel comfortable doing it by yourself. Right. I appreciate the opportunity that you've given me to kind of sit down and kind of work with you and kind of go, I take it personal, like your success. Like, I want you to do well.
I'll add, because we've talked about GreenTree Realty as a whole and my position with that. We've talked about Joe and his mentoring and training, and you coming into the organization and being part of Joe and part of Virginia Beach. And so it's probably important to discuss some of the dynamics that when Collin walked through the door, as a result of Joe and his friendship with the family, Collin became part of the Virginia Beach team, and Joe manages that team. He's our managing broker, and rightfully so. You would work with his organization, and it was almost an immediate success, not only with Collin, but with you too. I mean, you picked that ball up. We really didn't have an established program for such training.
Right.
And so my hat's off to Joe for establishing that. And then you got hungry in North Carolina. Well, the Virginia Beach team doesn't necessarily do North Carolina. So you fell under my wing as broker in charge of North Carolina. And I'm amazed at how fast you picked up there. Yeah. So I just wanted to discuss some of the potential confusing dynamics of, you work for Joe, you're North Carolina, are you part of GreenTree? The answer is yes. Yeah. You're all of it.
Yeah. So. Right. I think you came with a little more advanced knowledge than somebody who just came out of school. You have a good head on your shoulders for business. And I think, being a real estate agent, you have to have to be able to make business decisions to kind of run your career in the path that you wanted to, and it came natural to, but some people it takes a while to kind of figure out. I mean, they kind of just go with the flow and figure out where the next thing is. And they're just kind of swimming down the river, where I think you came with a dedicated path or a dedicated path that you wanted to take. And you're getting there, and again, I'll tell you, this business is a business that you're going to learn continuously. For me, when I started, it was like, hustle, 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 fake it until you make it. And then, I got in with a couple of investors, and, then I got some sphere of influence people underneath me, and I started selling. And then I, took a different path, and I worked with builders and investors. And that was like eye opening, because there's just so many things going on when you work on a site, or you work, with a builder or an investor, because what they're looking for is completely different from what a homeowner or a buyer, is looking to do. So, it's a learning process. And I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that like we can kind of talk you through anything. And it's a relaxed atmosphere. It's, this is nothing uptight about it. Like, again, I've gotten texts from you like 6:30 in the morning and 9:30 at night. It's all good.
That's all what good. We do, man. That's what we're
good.
about. Seriously. I mean, we're an open door.
Yep. So, how do you like it so far?
It's been definitely a roller coaster, I would say. It's, from the, from what, gosh, when was it? Probably October till February. It was really scary, because that was like right when I got into the field, and I wasn't really sure what I was doing, marketing wise. I was, how am I going to get new clients? How am I going to get clients? How am I going to get clients? And, yeah, it was just really eye opening, just really seeing this, like, wow, if you really don't bust your butt, you're not making any money. So but it's definitely, it makes it so much more rewarding when you do get a sale. It makes it all worth it. But at the same time, it's also really scary just to,
And I know that we've told you this. I know I have, and I'm sure Joe has. Yeah, you do have to bust your butt. You do have to work. But if you don't do some of that on blind faith, you become that roller coaster that we speak of. If you get into this business and your work ethic is steady and strong, it's going to take about 90 days, but so will your productivity.
Yeah.
If you get frustrated and you do this, and what's going to happen is by the time you do this, your productivity is going to catch up for a few moments, and then it's going to dive.
Right.
And you're going to continually chase that business high, and that becomes nerve wracking. That becomes an inconsistent income. And I'm not going to say everybody that works steady in 90 days is going to start making a steady paycheck. None of us have crystal balls, but I will tell you, in any field, if you do the work, productivity is going to lag about 90 days. And if you're consistent, you will be more consistent in productivity.
I kind of learned that on my own, a couple months ago. I was, like you said, kind of up and down. There were some days where I, worked 7 hours, and there was other days where I worked 3. Mm-hmm. And now it's kind of, just consistent, every day, and it's starting to add up. I have one client right now. I have another client right behind him that's coming up. So it's starting to kind of add up, and everything's starting to align a little bit. And I see what you're talking about. It's definitely, more consistent once you just keep going straight ahead.
And your confidence will build.
Yeah.
Like you won't question so many things because you don't know what you don't know. Once you start getting some of the things under the belt, your confidence will build, and you'll start knowing scenarios and situations, and you'll know what to do, and then you'll slowly pull back from us, and you'll lean on us probably more for like marketing and things like that. But contractually wise, you'll be in a place where you can you're swimming with the big fishes. So,
and I don't know if you feel this way or you recognize it. In a short time, I've seen your confidence grow. I've seen, the times that I've got the kind of nervous phone calls. Oh, this agent asked me this, and and now your tone is kind of more at ease. You call and you tell me what you said rather than what do I say. Um, and understand that we all have those moments of, oh man, oh crap, and it happened yesterday
Mm-hmm.
with you, with me. And I'll be very specific. I got a call from Collin yesterday, and it's, oh my gosh, on this deal, the underwriting department says we need a disclosure that he is related to a buyer. And I thought, oh my gosh, what have I done? I forgot. That is so important. I could get in trouble for that. Wouldn't let Collin get in trouble. But that's, oh my gosh, can't believe I forgot that. And within 10 minutes, I realized, wait a minute, we're in North Carolina. That's not a requirement like it is in Virginia.
Right.
And I still looked for a form to see if we could answer it, but there just simply was no disclosure in the pool of forms.
Right.
I've certainly verified that it was not a state requirement. And so it went from that to, why is this underwriting department asking for something that's not a legal responsibility of the state?
Right.
And so picked up the phone, called, was told why, and I kind of said, not good enough. Still not a requirement. And because the way North Carolina runs, now this client is going to have to hire an attorney to draft an addendum for such. And I don't think something that's not a state requirement should be required to add an additional expense of a client. And I got the kind of silent, it was on a phone call, but you could tell the deer in the headlight. Let me call underwriting. So this morning I got a call and said, don't worry about it. Everything's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
And my hat's off to the lender for doing so. The great lender, had no problem. It just didn't add up.
Right.
But my first response was a knee-jerk reaction of, oh my gosh, I've done something wrong. So when you have a situation arise and you get a little nervous, I don't care if you're brand new, been in the business 30 years or 10, 50, it happens. And you did the right thing. You called me as the broker. I did the wrong thing, panicking, but we learn every day. And like Joe said, he learned from you. Well, I have too. Situations, deals put us in a position as brokers and mentors to where we have to think, we have to research.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new game every day.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes full circle back to you being a newer agent, not seasoned. You make us work harder, and that's what every broker needs.
Right.
We need that.
Keep you on your toes.
and you bring technology into our antiquated realm.
Yeah.
You mentioned TikTok. I'm going to ask you how you feel about those funny videos, the things you see on TikTok.
I think it's hilarious, and I'm glad that they're doing it and using it to their advantage. But at a point, if everybody starts doing it, then nobody, it's not going to be funny anymore. You know what I mean? If everybody does the same video, the same type of walkthrough video that this funny guy does, or these three guys do,
right?
You're gonna get a bad reaction out of everybody else.
It's only new once.
It's only unique a couple times, and then once everybody starts doing it, it's kind of like died off, and it's not funny anymore. But no, I think just advertising as a whole, on TikTok, it reaches I've never seen another social media platform be able to reach as many people as you can on TikTok. It's actually really insane.
The reason I ask is I love the idea, the concept of doing something like that. And I would encourage you to think outside the box to, if there's something that speaks to you that you think would be cool, catchy, informative, funny, not funny, serious, professional, whatever, get with us. Let's do it. You spearhead it. You may be the cutting edge for GreenTree in that department, so I'm not going to speak for other companies, but some of them discourage things like that because we're either this uber professional or we don't know enough about it. Man, if you like it, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Find a way to do it. And I don't care if it's a YouTube video, a TikTok clip, Instagram, whatever it is, just keep your clothes on, man.
So take it from me, like hearing like one of the owners of the company tell you that, being from my past where I've worked in the bigger companies, is like, he's telling you have the freedom to make decisions and do what you want to do. Where I came from some other firms where like you were just not allowed to have your own website, or you couldn't get an IDX feed, which kind of on your website, which allows you to get the rain listings and everything. And this is going back a long time, but there was you could only like drive between the two lines. You couldn't kind of become creative. You had to figure out how you were going to do it within these spaces. And he's telling you the whole table is, your driveway. Let's go ahead and figure it out. That's a pretty big thing. That's
and help us figure it out.
Yeah.
But going back to the whole social media thing, it was funny because I tried to get my parents to, kind of get on board with that, trying to help. Because I used, back in high school, I used to work for my parents when they started their new company. And I would just throw ideas at them, hey, hire a film crew and just post some stuff on Facebook Reels, or, just little short clips of, how your day is. They're like, no, which this is not bashing them, but,
Right.
Their demographic for customers is not what ours is.
Right.
It's,
Right.
Well, they don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never
Maybe.
know what you don't know.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
but-
foremen sitting in their truck at times.
I know. And my dad
Waiting
was
on the
talking
job.
about it the other day. He went on a job site and they're all like hiding around
Yeah.
a corner on their phone. And
Right.
but I definitely think there's a lot of cool ideas. I think one cool idea we could do, especially with the film crew, is just film short form videos. Every 2 or 3 days, and when people are in the office, and just post them on social media. Just random stuff. You could be asking everybody in the office, what's your favorite color, or something short and quick. That way everybody can see our faces, and that way you can continue to post stuff. Because I do know, because that's a whole nother story. Why I know, but
Tell it, man. This is where it comes out.
Well, me and my buddy, we created like a sports card page, and we used to sell sports cards back during COVID when sports cards were like really hot. I mean, you could go to Walmart, buy a box, and resell it for triple the price on eBay.
Wow.
But we had social media, and we were posting every day. And at first, we would only post like once a week, and we'd probably get 1,000 views on our videos. But then we started posting every 3 days, started getting 4,000 or 5,000 views, and then we started posting every day. We were getting tens of thousands of views every day on our videos, and it brought in more customers for us. So I definitely think doing short form content on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and just posting it all over social media, I think it's beneficial in the long run. At first, you might think it's stupid, but at the end of the day, once you start getting more people on looking at your company, seeing who works for you, I think it benefits everybody. For sure.
I agree.
I think anytime you get your face out there on any platform, is definitely good for you. What do they say? There's no such thing as
No such
thing as bad advertising.
Yeah.
Bad publicity.
publicity.
Bad
No such thing as bad
And,
publicity.
and it's true. I mean, even negative ads get you out there.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you bring fresh and new ideas into what we do as a company, whether it be marketing, whether it be technique, whether it be our training. Because as new people come in the door, we do have to modify training. God knows every day rules and regulations are changing, but so are the mentalities, so are the needs. So you help us keep up with the times, and I'm glad for that. Like I said, it pushed Joe into establishing a training program that we really didn't know we didn't have. So,
so now because of you, we can actually but we are probably more capable of going after a newer agent that is out of alpha or the class, and kind of sit down with them and kind of walk them through the process. It was easy. It was a nice transition with you because I've known you for so long,
right?
That we could work a little, joke a little, work a little, and it made it comfortable inside the room to kind of go over everything. I don't know about you guys, but I did go to college. Wasn't a very strong student. Like I focus in, focus out, focus in, focus out, light bulb on, light bulb off, and I could tell, never being on the teaching side of it, like where I have overloaded Collin with information. And you taught me that I can't blast you, or anybody for that matter, with massive amounts of information inside of the 45 minutes to an hour and expect you to retain anything. So I had to break up the class into smaller groups of information and really kind of go over, each form. Like, per se, one day would be the contract, another day would be like the addendums, another day would be the disclosures. You can't blast somebody with all that information and kind of explain it to him and have him go over it. I could literally see like the dimness and light bulb going away. I was like, yeah, I got to fix this. So it's great. I appreciate it. We are now, or I'm probably more better off going after that newer agent where we could do that and put them in a program because we now have success with you doing that. So
yeah, and it's a lot of information to learn.
People don't know that
in an hour.
They don't know that. When you get your license, you need to be on par with like an agent who's doing this 20 years.
Yeah,
you're fighting for that business.
And you got to catch up.
Yeah,
and it is a lot of information to learn. But you did a great job of breaking it up and just doing it one thing at a time, because I feel like sometimes people might try and cram it all in. You can't do that.
Too much. Yeah.
No.
So,
but yeah.
Joe, you brought something up earlier about Collin, the ease of working with him and the way he just blended into things. And I'll be honest, I've met your dad once and I've heard stories about your mom.
Oh, God, and what stories?
No, you just
great people.
Yeah.
Good people.
The story about, like scammers trying to call something that recently happened here. And I will tell you, like I said, one time meeting your dad, what I heard about, that's a testament of the person you are and why you are the way you are. It's your upbringing. Everybody has a tough upbringing because, whether it's a good one or not, there's tough times because we as children challenge it and we get answers. Right. And so again, shout out to your parents for making you or helping you become the person that you are. And that made it easier for Joe too.
Oh, absolutely. I think we all had an athletic background. Mm-hmm. And I going to which is, I think tough times make tough people.
Yeah.
And at the first sign of adversity, I don't want to do this. You kind of dive back in and you're like, all right, I'm gonna knock it out. How do I figure out how to do it? What do I need to do? How do I get from here to make myself better? Back in college, it's always bigger, stronger, faster, because you knew that the guy coming in behind you probably is all that much more motivated to take your spot, and you're trying to move up the depth chart. It's just inbred into, I think, any athlete that you always have to strive to make yourself, put yourself in a position where you're better, you're stronger, you're smarter, you're doing things that other people aren't doing. And, in life, to be successful, you got to do the work. You got to do the work.
Take football. Okay. We all three played. Okay. I have gained more positions, passed other people up, not because I was necessarily bigger, stronger, faster, but I was when it was 110 degrees. Mm-hmm. When the other guys were falling out, I pushed through. Mm-hmm. I attribute that to real estate and where the successes will lie with you. You've got that push. When it gets a little harder, when that temperature rises, I've already seen you push harder. So, I love sports analogies and I'll always use them, but that's why you're going to succeed. Not because you have a sports background, but because you know that in order to succeed and push hard and move ahead of those seasoned agents for 20 years, when it gets a little rocky, market's a little unstable, wrong time of year, it's not spring, you keep pushing. And because of that, you will succeed. And then when spring comes, when the hot market comes, your name's out there and you're going to grow and you're going to succeed and you're going to push beyond those that have been somewhat stagnant.
Right.
So just keep doing what you're doing.
And I think it's more of a testament to the way I was raised. I would say I grew up fortunate as a kid, but at the same time, my parents instilled that you need to work for everything. Nothing's going to be handed to you. They could have bought me a car for my 16th birthday. I was cutting grass in River's Edge for 4 years when I was since I was in middle school. They would drop me off with a lawnmower and a wagon, and I would go cut people's yards for like 4 years.
You were spoiled. I wouldn't have given you away.
And that's how I saved up money to buy my first car. I think it just from there on, it's just okay. Okay. Nothing is going to be given to you. You have to go work for it. So I feel like that's one of the key things that really helped me growing up, was just realizing that it takes hard work to get what you want. So
that's going to carry you.
Yeah.
And, on a different note, like, your clients will see that in you. Your clients will recognize the type of person you are, and will see the hustle, and will see, who you are as a person. And want that type of person, somebody that's like, okay, here's what I need. I'm going to go find it. I'm going to look for it. I'm going to search. I'm going to do everything possible that I can, possibly get you into what you're looking for. And, I think, once you have a great personality, I think once people start talking to you, with that motivation behind you, I had a couple people that rolled the dice on me, and they were like, all right, well, let's try it. You got a good personality. You can talk. You're quick on your feet. You can answer questions. You're funny. I mean, these are all great characteristics to have and carry, inside your career and in life. I think sometimes if we can supplement like a very hard conversation, maybe with a little bit of humor and, be kind of humble, and I think it reflects strongly on yourself for the character that you have. So I think you'll be able to use all that. And I think it'll show with your clients as you continue down your path for real estate.
Speaking of path, what is your path? Where do you see yourself in a year, 5 years, 10 years? And it doesn't have to be in real estate.
Well, 10 years. So one of the main reasons I wanted to be an agent was to eventually transition into being an investor. And I feel like being an agent is probably the closest thing you can get to being a real estate investor. And you get to learn all the ins and the outs. So 10 years from now, I hope I'm a real estate investor with a pretty big portfolio. But, as in terms of the next year, I hope to just have a couple more deals done under my belt and, be a little more financially stable. Because, the way things are right now, it's, could we go buy a house? Could we, just stay renting an apartment, or what are we doing? It's a little, we're like right in the middle.
Well, I'll say something. It's a true testament of both of us, okay? You're talking to two investors.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking guys that are doing today what you've done. Guess which avenue we use to get there?
I hope.
Financially is real estate. And guess what we're still doing today? Not only investing, not only flipping, holding on for rentals, the things we do, we're making money doing real estate too. And we're helping people, achieve their American dream of home ownership. The more you do, the more deals you get under your belt. And it's not necessarily the new generation buying their first home. I had somebody in their 60s bought their first home, and the excitement was just as real. And the feeling in my chest, in my heart, was probably more real for them, because I realized this is their last chance of home ownership, and they did it. And your goals of being an investor are realistic goals. They're very achievable, and this is a great avenue in which to get there. Your focus may change a little bit with the more people you help and the more things you do. And I know you have that in you, because I've seen the care you've given your clients.
Mm-hmm.
So always set goals, always make them achievable, always make them realistic, and drive towards them. And if they deviate along the way, it's just the plan. Go with it, But I love the fact that you have that goal. What about short-term goals in real estate? Anything else you have?
I do want to surpass, 5 deals, which hopefully, we're on pace to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Double that. But short term wise, I feel like getting, my feet wet in terms of, home ownership would be really, really awesome. That's something that's hopefully coming up at the end of the tunnel right now. But just the way everything is, prices are a little, skewed. They're different than they were a couple years ago. Definitely, but I'm like right at the crossroads to where it's like, could you do this? Maybe, maybe not.
Let me say this though, you're coming into it in real estate at probably one of the most unstable times. Well, maybe 2008 was a little bit worse.
Second most
but
yeah.
This is maybe the second most unstable times where you've had housing prices go through the roof. You're coming off interest rates that jumped like close to 4 or 5 points, which in the 25 year, I've never seen that. Like they jump a quarter point, half point. They may keep going in that direction, but like, in the course of like 3 months to have that, that's huge, and you're coming on a housing shortage because everybody refied their house at 2%. Now they don't want to sell it. They want to rent. So you're coming in at a time that's not normal in the real estate industry.
Right.
If there was a time where it was a little bit normal, it might be a little bit easier for you to kind of get into it. But there's like for a short period of time there, you couldn't breathe as a real estate agent taking your clients out. You had to decide like right there in the house if this was the house for you.
Right.
There used to be a day you'd go back to that house 2 or 3, maybe 4 times. Dad would come, mom would come,
tape measurements.
Grandpa Lou's got to look under the house for you, whatever. That was going. It's a little bit of uncharted territory. I mean, I think maybe we're kind of coming out of it. We're getting to a place where, people can breathe again and take a second and kind of have a second thought rather than choose something that happens. So it's difficult, but if you can make it here, I think you will be fine. And you're showing us all the signs that you can.
The fluctuation in this market is what's very uncharacteristic and not normal. Where we are with interest rates really is about normal. It's where we should, this 2% that we've seen, this inflated home values that we've seen over a period of time, we're actually settling back to somewhat normal. And we got pretty lucky when we locked in a 9% interest rate.
I was going to say when I started, it was like 8.5.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, man, it dropped to 7%. It was so exciting. We refinanced at a 15-year mortgage. And it was like, my goodness, this was so great, and, now we hit 7, a few months ago, and it's, oh my gosh, the world's going to end and all. We're finally stabilizing. We're finally getting back to, as far as interest rates go, realistic times. We've just been so unrealistic, and it's a great wave to ride. It's nothing bad to say. Now, I think we're probably still a little overinflated with market values in some cases. Because of that, inventory's different, all that's not normal, but it will normalize. So your home ownership's around the corner. It'll come. You're doing the right things, continue to do business. The more closings you have, the more money's in the bank, and you'll be able to get there. Just keep doing what you're doing and have faith in the system. And Collin, I wanted to thank you today for joining Joe and I. I thought it was a great session. I hope you utilize it well. And if we could finish up with just how do people out there find you?
Yeah, if you want to reach out, you can reach me at collinbrody55@gmail.com. Or if you want to pick up the phone and call me, 757-642-7759.